Hey guys, welcome back. It's Sister Stephanie again, and I'm coming to bring to you another great recipe. Today we're going to be making, how do we say it? Orange cranberry meatballs. This has been an all-time family favorite. Whether I'm hosting Thanksgiving, Christmas, or I'm being invited, I'm always asked to bring this dish. So I'm gonna actually show you guys how to make it, so that you can share with your friends and family as well. So the first thing I'm gonna mention is I do not eat red meat. So I never use ground beef in anything. I always use ground turkey product. And because I am just making this dish for a family of 6 or 7 today, I'm only using about a pound and a quarter of ground turkey. So I've already dumped that meat right in this mixing bowl here. So these are just some of the ingredients that I'm gonna be using today. I'm gonna start with seasoning my meat. Many people measure their seasonings. I do not. I'm a general sprinkler. I kind of know when to shut it on and shut it off. You can choose to do any sort of measurements, quarter teaspoons of each if you choose. All right, so this is just salt and pepper. I also use poultry seasoning. I like to use garlic salt, but I'm refraining from using a lot of other salt, so I'm going to use garlic powder today. And I have onion powder. I'm famous for my always adding a kick to something, so I'm just going to have a sprinkle of cayenne pepper. If you don't, oh, this is a new container. So I'm going to have to unseal this. That's one thing about live, you catch it all. So a sprinkle of cayenne pepper. All right. Worcestershire sauce is what we're going to also be adding, and this is calling for about a quarter of a teaspoon. I'm just going to do 2 shakes, and that would be suffice for me. I also have a quarter cup of milk. All right. One other item that was not out here that I do need to add is 1 egg. I'm gonna add that. And then also I have seasoned breadcrumbs. And I already have them measured out in this container. I'm using a 1/2 cup. Okay, I'm gonna pour that right in. Mixing spoon, and I'm gonna start mixing everything in, incorporating all of the seasonings, egg, milk, breadcrumbs, and you're just gonna see how that all is gonna come together. Breadcrumbs helps lock everything in, and it's gonna help with me rolling those meatballs. It's nothing like having a fresh dish. That's one thing about me. I do not like buying processed foods. There's all sorts of meatballs that you can purchase in the grocery store. All come pre-bagged, pre-mixed, pre-cooked, and all you have to do is bake it or heat it up. I do none of those things for my family. I always do fresh. Okay, so that's something that you can also add to your family. All right, so see how that's come together. All right, so the next thing I like to do is I like to use a tablespoon to create the bowl. Some people use like a melon bowl. I don't have one of those, so I'm gonna just use about a 1/2 of the tablespoon, and see how I put that in my hand. My hands have already been cleaned, guys. I never cook with dirty hands. Never cook with dirty hands. Make sure your surfaces and your hands are always clean. All right, so see how I have a nice size meatball there? Okay, and I am using my rotisserie rack I'm a minimalist, so if I purchase something, I want to be able to use it for several different things. So I am going to, I already have it covered with some foil. I'm going to use this to place my meatballs on as I continue to roll out my meatballs. So this generally is probably the most time consuming part of this step, and this is why people generally don't like to make things fresh. But again, you will not be sorry about the final product and how everything comes together and tastes. So this is probably going to take me about 15 minutes to finish or less. So we're just check back with me, and we'll pick up where we left off. All right, guys, we're back. So I finished rolling all of my meatballs out. This is the end product of me rolling those meatballs. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna begin to start frying them up. All right, so I've got, I like to use this big pan here. This is my own preference. You may have a large fryer. I'm also using olive oil. I'm an olive oil type gal. And I'm gonna bring these over here. And I'm gonna put the pan on medium because I don't want them to be a hard fry. I want there to be a bit of a sear on there, but we're gonna quickly move them around so that they don't burn fast, okay? So you can see how I'm rolling them a bit. That's why I like to use this pan, because I can easily roll it like that without being burned. So you can see how I want a little sear like that on them, okay? I just want to get a nice sear on that meat. And then we'll let the heat just cook them through. I'm not going to put too many more. I do want to have a little room in there because you don't want your meatballs to start sticking together. So I want to be able to move them like this and keep them rolling. See how it's getting that nice browning on it? That's the way you want your meatballs to look all the way around, okay? I'm just also just going to use a spoon and kind of how some of them as we roll them didn't flip over. Again, we don't want to burn the other side. See, that's great. That is awesome. That's what we're looking for, how all of the meatballs to look around, okay? So I'm gonna fry up these after I do this batch. Oh, this is great. After I do this batch, I've got another to do over here. So let's check back in a few, and we'll get started on the last steps of this. See ya. All right, guys, welcome back. So now all of my meatballs are nice and seared and brown, okay? So now I'm gonna drain them. Now, guys, I just want to point out that this is not the same foil that I had the raw meatballs on, okay? I threw that foil away. We don't want any food poisoning. So this is new foil, and I've got a paper towel there, and I'm just going to put all my meatballs on there to drain. Again, I used a little bit of olive oil, so that isn't a whole lot of oil to drain. And actually, whatever oil is left in this pot, it's actually going to become part of the sauce. So we're just going to use any remnants that's in this pot and keep our recipe going. Looks good so far, right? Yeah, I think so. Now, another thing is, even if there's some meatballs that may not be all the way done in the inside, we are going to, the meatballs are gonna go in a sauce. And so they'll actually go, you know, kind of finish up its last part of cooking in the sauce, which is gonna be really great because the meat is gonna really absorb that sauce and it's really gonna be tasteful, okay? So, it is orange cranberry, so that is clearly what we're gonna have in this pot, all right? So I just have some jelly cranberry sauce. Now guess what, guys? I do not like cranberry sauce for any meal. Just, you know how people just slice it out the can and it's sitting on a plate, looking all nasty on the table. I don't eat it like that. But in this dish, it is everything, okay? So I am just going to pull that right out of that can. I'm gonna break it up a bit. And like I said, we kept some of the residual oils and we had a little bit of meat in that, what we, you know, cooked the meatballs. So I have the stove on like a medium setting. It is gonna break down a little bit. I'm a sauce kind of girl. So I am going to add about another half a can, not maybe 2 full cans, but at least another half a can. Let me serve that other part up for Thanksgiving, for those who like it. All right. The orange comes from the sweet marmalade, the sweet orange marmalade, and just about a tablespoon of that. Okay. Now, the best part of this is the peppers, okay? So I love peppers, guys. Fresh red peppers. I have orange peppers and yellow peppers. And you know I got some heat, okay? Jalapenos. I know they're in these measuring bowls, but they're not really measured. That was just my way of cutting them up and kind of putting them in something. So you can choose to use whatever peppers you like. Sometimes I do even green peppers, but I didn't buy any this time. So I'm just going to use what I have. And as this kind of breaks down a little bit, we're going to go ahead and pour those peppers in there. And again, it could be more or less, guys. This isn't actually full peppers. The rest of the peppers I put in a Ziploc bag and I put them in my refrigerator, and we're gonna use them. You can use them at a later time. We can make omelets with them. Yay, breakfast. And some other things you can do with some peppers too. I think that when you add peppers to a dish, it really, really awakens. So look how beautiful that looks. Look how nice and fresh and bright everything looks. And just mixing that around a bit. I'm actually going to change spoons because I don't want to scrape my pot. I'm going to make sure I use this non-scratch spoon. And that heat is going to, you know, again, get to it, and it's going to break that cranberry sauce down into more smooth. And it's going to break the peppers down a little bit, but it still is going to give it a nice texture. And it gives it a naturally sweet, hot type of flavor to that ground turkey. Now, again, if you like red meat, you can certainly do your meatballs with ground turkey. But ground beef. But again, I use ground turkey, which I think is a healthier choice as well. So I'm helping breaking that all down, probably more than the heat. We don't want to put that heat up on high because you don't want to burn your sauce, but this is looking really great. All right. And then from here, what I do is I just go ahead and put my meatballs right in there, because as that heats that sauce up, it's just gonna marinate right on in those meatballs. And I'm just gonna drop them in, and look at that. And we're just gonna cover them up. I'm gonna put some more in. I won't dump them all in at one time. Uh-oh, lost the meatball. Because we really want to give each meatball the attention it deserves with this great sauce. And if this is going to be an appetizer for you, then you can certainly use toothpicks, get a nice tray, and oh, it'd be so beautiful on a white rectangle plate. And you want to put your toothpicks in each one and drizzle the sauce on top. It would be so beautiful. Everything would be so festive. So you see how I'm marinating that in? I've got a few more to get in there. Just gonna move some of those meatballs to the side. Almost done, guys. And it looks like I had just enough sauce. Everything is like perfectly balanced. You know, it's not too overly done. It's not dry. This was perfect amount of meatballs, perfect amount of sauce. That is just wonderful. Look at that. So guys, I am going to finish that up on the stove. Again, I'm just gonna a very low setting on the stove and just let that bubble on in to your meat, and it is ready to serve. All right guys, Simple Taste by Stephanie. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Happy holidays.